Morning, everyone. We are about to start this webinar, and I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. Even though Peru has a beautiful morning, here in Santa Cruz we have a very dark and rainy morning. Nevertheless, that didn't affect my emotions at all. I am really excited about being a RELO Andes webinar presenter. Let me introduce myself. I'm Rosemery Ribera. I'm an English teacher at the Centro Boliviano Americano in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. And most of all, I'm a grammar freak. I'm just in love with grammar. I love everything that has to do with grammar. And I always tell my students, I'm an English freak and I'm gonna make you love grammar. So let's start. First of all, thank you for attending. Let me start by saying that it is an honor to be surrounded online by so many educators that have the desire to keep on learning, like you all here. You are really wise people, since you never stop learning. When I go to a seminar or when I attend a webinar, I always ask myself, what's in it for me? So I will tell you, what will you learn today? When we finish our meeting, you will be able to use an effective yet fun technique to teach grammar. Nevertheless, I have used teaching by stations for each one of the English skills. I even stumbled upon an article named Skills Circuit at the British Council website that talks about using stations as a racing game in order to recycle language. At the end of this meeting as well, you can also download my presentation at slideshare.com. We are going to use reflective teaching. As you all know, reflective teaching means making yourself this question constantly: what to do in our classrooms and why to do it. After a pedagogy class, I got to appreciate the advantages of reflective teaching. And these led me to teaching by stations, which is only a way to chunk new vocabulary or grammar structures using station teaching. Okay, it is a way to get your students to collaborate with each other in order to get them to be independent learners. Why chunking? Educational psychology teaches us the principles of primacy and recency. That means that our brain remembers more easily the first and last information provided. Material given to our students in the middle of any learning session becomes more difficult for them to recall afterwards. This is why we need to chunk the content we present in order to achieve more primacy and recency moments. I would really like to show you a little bit of my first successful session. If you would please click on the link, you will watch a video so we can be on the same page and you can see what teaching by stations really is. Let's do that, please, and click on YouTube, the YouTube link, and I'll wait for you afterwards.
Todos han terminado. For all of you that are connected, please let us know if you have finished watching the video so that we can start with the presentation once again. Rosemary, if you're there, we can restart.
Okay, so after the video, as you can see, I'm back. Don't worry. I was just watching the video, same as you. So after the video, you could see that teaching by stations is actually really easy to achieve. I would like to talk to you a little bit about my inspiration for this technique. While reading Basta de Historias by Andrés Oppenheimer, I was dazzled by Finland's educational system, which is now the best in the world. They use station teaching to improve their students' knowledge process. The only difference is that they have a teacher per station. I'm pretty sure that none of us have that luxury in any of the binational centers or in South America in general. So I was inspired by Finland's method, and I was so determined to make it work in my classroom. After a few tweaks, I ended up with something helpful when it comes to teaching any English skill. Okay, the tweak consisted on dividing my classroom in stations, just like they do in Finland. But be careful and use, divide your students as well. Don't forget to include a very talkative student, a really fast learner, and of course we always have slow learners. They should be all together in a group. This way the fast learner will become your teacher on each station. This way we're going to achieve a multi-teacher instruction with a single educator. Let's go to how to prepare for a teaching by stations session. Okay, as you already noticed on the video, we had 4 stations. Okay, the park, the office, we have also had their home, and finally a party. Since I selected clothes vocabulary for my station teaching that time. Okay, don't be discouraged by the fact that you need to invest time to prepare your material. This shouldn't be an obstacle, since the end results will actually save you lots of teaching time. Okay, this is what you need to do. Before your class, you need to clearly identify your stations. I recommend having not more than 4 stations with 5 students on each station. How to identify each station would be by using color cardboards to explain the station's purposes. Be sure to secure an empty paper to each desk so your students can draw or write. Okay, why do we do this? Okay, first of all, what we are selling is grammar. What we are selling is a new language, new skills. And this is not an easy task to achieve. We need to advertise. We need to surprise our students. We need to draw their attention. We basically need to sell our new content. After all, we know how hard it is to engage our students into grammar. Okay, after they do the first rotation, you will also achieve stability and familiarity with the method. They will be really at ease with this. You could start your session now. Okay, instruct your students to sit down and start drawing or writing. Don't forget, as I mentioned before, to include a fast learner, a slow learner, and a talkative student on each group. This is the only way to achieve a teacher on each station. After this, you just have to make them work. They will do all the work. Okay. Why do we divide? Why do we make them rotate? We need to give them space, variety, and movement. I would like to quote Dr. John Molina on this. I love this guy. He is the author of Brain Rules, and he says, and I quote, "Our brain appears to have been designed to solve problems related to surviving in an unstable environment and to do so in constant motion." I would like you to ask yourselves if this is what we do in our classrooms. Do we make our students move? Do we give them space and variety? Are we allowing their brains to work well? And he says, if you wanted to create an education environment that was directly opposed to what the brain was good at doing, you probably would design something like a classroom. And that is actually not what we want to. So let's do that. Let's give them space, variety, and movement to get some oxygen to those brains. Good. So we finished our rotation, going back to teaching by stations. You can either collect the papers and place them on the board, or you can just tell your students to grab their notebooks and go station by stations and write a complete affirmative sentence using subject, verb, object, place, and time. Okay, they are doing all the job. They are drawing, they are writing, they are rotating, their brains are getting fed, excuse me. So, as an extension activity, I would suggest you to make them practice even more. How can you do that? You can ask them to write the negative and interrogative forms. And of course, you can ask them to write all the information questions with their answers. I repeat, they are doing all the work, and the end result is well-trained students. Okay, well-trained students, and they are completely, sorry, 1 minute. Independent, excuse me, the word slipped my mind. Okay, slipped my mind. Independent learners. Okay. Good. How can we do? I want to ask you now. I want to ask the audience. What happens if you are teaching, let's say, if you are teaching infinitives and gerunds, how would you build your stations? What would be your first station? You can use it to teach infinitives and gerunds. Maybe this station could be, verbs followed by a gerund. This station, the second station, could be verbs followed by an infinitive. The third station could be verbs followed by an infinitive or gerund without any change in meaning. And finally, you can have that very special group of verbs followed by an infinitive or gerund, but that they actually change their meaning. So you can apply it. Let's say that you are teaching writing, not essays, just paragraphs. Write something simple. What can you do? You can go ahead and set a station where they can do the brainstorm. Another station where they can actually write the topic sentence. Another station where they can find and write 3 supporting sentences and their examples. And the final station where you can make them write the closing sentence. To answer to Carlos Ramirez, says, is it necessary to the students to know which are adjectives? Yes, sir. This is more like a drilling activity. They should know what the adjectives order is. But it is easy to remember, right? You will teach that. Don't worry about that. They are going to absorb the adjectives order as they go. Okay, in the go. Good. I would like to wrap up this so you can make questions, because that is the most important moment of a webinar to my mind. Before going to the questions and answers moment, I would like to summarize about teaching by stations. Here you have some advantages. You can, of course, address various learning styles. Right, you are addressing your kinesthetic students, your students that learn by doing, your students that learn by listening. Don't forget that you have a very talkative student among them, and your students that learn by writing. You can work with lower ability students. You can include these students and improve their ability. You can work with all your students, even students that are late to class. You can include them on a group and make them rotate. And most importantly, you can increase engagement and understanding. We can start the questions and answer moment now, please. If you have any questions, you can post them on your chat. Hello. Okay, Luisa, excuse me, from Medellin. I think it's good for mixed abilities classes. Yes, you're right. Betty, do you think that cooperative learning is the best way in teaching by stations? Yes, ma'am. I am positive about that. They cooperate and they get to be independent learners by helping each other and they get used to it. I've seen it in my classrooms that they get used to actually teach their peers. And this is something that you really want to achieve. Any other questions? Good, Gabriela. The part of stations. That means that you need to divide your classroom so it looks something like this. You have stations, different stations for different parts of your new material. Okay? Why do you do this? Remember that our brain records what is given first and what is given last. If you give your lesson from start to finish, they will have only one recency and latency moment. They will remember what you said first and they will remember what you said last. But what's in the middle is going to become very difficult for them to recall afterwards. That's why you want to chunk your material into stations and you want them to produce while learning. And Javier, I use this strategy really often. You know, I use it for each and every skill in English. I use it for writing, listening, speaking, grammar. And most of all for vocabulary.
Rosemary, acá tenemos una pregunta de Luisa de Medellín. A question from Luisa from Medellín. She asks, how do you use it for listening?
Okay, I'm back. I'm very sorry. Good. For listening. For listening, I make them listen to specific things per station. Okay, for example, listen for main ideas. Listen for examples. Listen for new words. Listen for for difficult words to pronounce. So you can use it for listening as well. Yeah, Carlos, this is when you teach grammar, then you are going to divide your stations in grammar, like grammar stations, like I said before. If you are teaching verbs followed by infinitives or gerunds, then each station is going to be devoted to teach only that. Okay, we have to give and write the instructions. Actually, each station is clearly marked with its purpose. It is clearly marked with its purpose. As you saw in the video, I had the who, the what, the when, the where, and the when. So they know what to do and on each station. But you can also write, of course, the instructions on the board or give them the instructions. The first time is going to be a bit, not difficult, but a bit challenging because your students actually haven't been instructed like this. But by the first rotation, you can be sure that your students are going to be so familiar with the method that they will do it by themselves. They have no hesitation on rotating, writing, or drawing. Any other questions? Wow, you're right, Claudia. We can make recordings. They can record themselves. You know, they always have a cell phone and they have a recorder on their cell phone. Pronunciation, good point. I agree, Betty. I agree. When you present your coordinators with your lesson plan, you can actually present them. I have a lesson plan for this. If you want a lesson plan, you can always send me an email. Okay, I'm going to write it here as Roger at teacher Rose CBA at gmail.com. Okay, that's my email. Yes, it's okay. It's necessary at the beginning to explain the student what or which words are nouns, verbs, etc. When you are teaching basic students, like I did, first I taught them the vocabulary and, of course, the sentence order. I always use subject, verb, object, place, and time because I want them to be, you know, why is it not going? Okay, here. Like this, subject, verb, object, place, and time. And that's how your signs must be designed, you know. First, you put who. Then you put a verb like, need, want, or likes, okay? Then you put an object. That is what they're actually drawing, a place and a time. For speaking, I was telling you before that I use this as a speaking activity. How do I do this? I assign a different speaking subject, or if we are speaking just about one subject, let's say global warming. Say I would divide my stations like this. I would instruct them to speak about the causes of global warming on the first station. On the second station, I will instruct them to speak about global warming, what global warming does to the planet. On the third station, I would instruct them to speak about solutions. And on the final station, I would instruct them to summarize, to talk about what they think, their own opinion. What do I do with large classes? To just divide the stations into larger groups. For example, you can have 7 or 8. How many students do you have, Doris? Okay, if you have 20, that's perfect. That's almost the same number of students that I have. You can divide them 5, 5, 5. Good. Speaking. Let's say a level speaking. They need to speak about I am this person. Okay, so they can present themselves on the first station. On the second station, they can speak about what they do. On the third one, they can speak about their family members. And on the last one, they can speak about where they live. It depends on the level. If you are teaching advanced students, like I have a class right now, and I'm teaching about personality. So they can go ahead and you can make only like 3 stations, like good personality, positive personality traits, negative personality traits, and which one are both. And your students will be interacting, will be using the new language, and that is what you really want to achieve. You want them to recycle their language. You want them to use what they have learned. I cannot read the question. Gabriela, it says it's really interesting. My pleasure, Carlos. I cannot see, what is it? Doris. It means we have to, do you think cooperative? Okay. Excuse me, Laura, can you please copy paste Doris's question? Sometimes difficult. Okay, it means we have to definitely, yes. That's exactly the meaning. We have to make them proud because that is what they have created. You have to make them part of the learning process. It's not always a teaching, telling them you have to write these, copy these, complete these. They are actually part of the learning process. And I always tell my students, I listen, I forget, I write, I remember, I practice, I learn. So this is a hands-on technique for your students. I'm having trouble viewing your questions, but Betty, can you please? As we know, we teach English with a communicative approach, and I think we can introduce teaching by stations according to the level of Yes, Betty, I totally agree with you. My goal is for you to take teaching by stations and make it yours and improve it and use it in different ways. You just have, it's like a platform, like a base that I'm trying to give you, and you can improve it, and I would love to hear about your improvements. Yes, Rose, definitely. Thank you. I would really love for you to make this method yours and maybe record your students and upload it to I have a YouTube channel, which is teacherrosecba@gmail.com as well. And we can share experiences, and I have many other recordings there.
Rosemary, can you please give us the link to that so that teachers can visit the YouTube station channel on their own time?
Sure. I'm gonna type it right now. Okay. I would really like you to visit. Oh, let me go here. Wait a minute. I would really like you to visit ESL Printables as well. This is where I publish my grammar guides, and they're quite popular. And you will see that this presentation was downloaded about 50 something times in just 24 hours, and I was amazed by that. I'm very proud about that. And you can, I also, here you have all my, my contact information. Okay, you can also go to slideshare.net. I have an account there. You can go to ISL Collective. I also upload grammar guides there, and it's for free. You don't actually need to do anything. Thank you, Betty. I would really appreciate if you use this technique. So before I go, okay, I wouldn't want to leave this webinar without encouraging all of you to start your days with the utmost determination to do your best in your classrooms, to make your students fall in love with you in order to fall in love with English, to touch their lives, to open their minds. For this is the only way to go to bed with the satisfaction of a well done job. I really appreciate that you were part of this webinar. You have all my contact information here, and that's my cute picture. Thank you very much. I hope to see you in the next webinar.
Thank you, Rosemary, for that wonderful presentation. We are going to have another webinar for English teachers on December 12th with Ryan Brooks. He is the English language fellow that is here in Peru. It will be at 3 p.m. on December 12th, and we will have a repeat on December 14th at 8:30 a.m. Exactly the same time as right now. So thank you again to everybody for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Rosemary, and we hope to see you again next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Goodbye.